coming to our final reading of our 2022-2023 school year. I am so excited to see so many familiar faces and some new faces. Thank you for being here. It means so much to our students. Thank you. I want to name a few points of etiquette when it comes to readings in case this is your first time. So there are a number of ways in which you can demonstrate your appreciation for a piece. So given that this is a literary and there are some poetry elements to it, snapping, that's all, if we could practice together. Snapping is good. Another thing, at the end of a piece, any sort of noise, banging on things, clapping, hooting, hollering, and or making other kinds of noises, all good. During pieces, in the middle of a piece, if you hear a phrase, you're like, that, what is it, that slaps? Yes. I'm not super clear on the vernacular, but the kids say something along those lines. If it's good, if it moves you, if you feel it a little bit, here's what I'm going to invite us all to do. A little of this. It's kind of, it's like, I'm with you. I hear that. I feel it. It's an appreciative, with some nodding. Snapping during pieces, also totally recommended for like, you hear it, you're like, yes. You can also say, yes. So all of these are totally welcome and appreciated ways for you to show your appreciation for the very hard work that these writers have put into their pieces. One more programmatic note. You'll notice on the program, for the very first time, I stepped out of my comfort zone and created, this is, I believe, an RQ code. I did that. A QR code on which, if you link to this, you can find a admittedly difficult to read list of people's pieces. But all of the text for the poems and stories are available on the QR code. So if you hear something and you're like, and you nod and you make the noise, and then later it's kind of kicking around in your head and you want to look it up, got this right here.
Good job, Kevin.
So, thank you. Without further ado, we're going to get started on our reading tonight. The reading will be about an hour and 10 minutes. There will not be an intermission, and enjoy. Yay! Oh, I should. Sorry.
Yeah, you should. It's okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Mia, and this is my first piece, Hereditary. In December, I found out that my gap tooth is hereditary. My abuela told me that my tío had it when he was young, but he got bullied for it, so he got braces and closed the gap. They called him the mole because he had glasses too. He died last fall, and I have no memory of knowing him. The word hereditary has scared me ever since I watched the A24 movie last year. It's about demons passed down through a family. I watched it in a friend's hollow basement, cloaked in darkness and borrowed blankets. Despite the terror on screen, I don't think I've ever felt comforted in the same way since. I watched it once more with my sister in our carpeted basement. And anyone I've ever talked to could tell you that my sister is my best friend, but it still wasn't the same. I found out that my love for Mazzy Star was hereditary on a rainy day. I was sitting in the passenger seat, my mother driving me to pick up my sister. I put on my music and blue lights started playing. Looking over and seeing the smile reach my mother's olive green eyes made the sky seem a little brighter. As silly as it sounds, my love for horses is hereditary too. I have heard various snippets of my father's childhood stories, and one of them that stuck with me the most was that one. My grandfather promised to buy him a horse when he was in a good mood. He never did. I think I know now why it was so cruel of me to beg for a horse. My love for knitting and crocheting is hereditary as well, as were my first yarn and knitting needles. When I was around 12, my grandma gave me some of her extra yarn. She was moving and didn't have room for it anymore. I have no idea where the scarf I made with it went, probably lost in our own move. Some part of me can't help feeling that everything I make after it is a hopeless attempt at recreating the original, innocence and all. If I am ever foolish enough to have kids, which is not likely, as my mother says you should not have kids if you have no real desire for them, their love for rain will be hereditary. The way it hatches across the gray sky, the way the grass is a little greener the next day. The way it taps at the windows like a memory insisted on being recalled. I teach them how to save worms from the doom of the sidewalk, scoop them up gently, and find a good spot for them in the grass. How to properly choose names for them, silly names like Eugenia or Herbert. But as that might never be, maybe my inheritance does not have to be inherited, but rather taught. Taught from me to you, from me to my friends, from me to my nieces and nephews, and to those I have yet to know and love.
I think I liked you better before I really knew you, but I'm beginning to feel as if I never even knew you at all. Either way, I certainly know you less now than I once did. So, my dear stranger, I find myself grasping for you still, or maybe I'm simply reaching as I did before, all while you pondered the end. The lost version of you seeped through my fingers, ending in a louder storm. I traded desperation for another tragic safety. A poor habit of mine, I know. But I threw signs like rocks at your head, and yet you still failed to notice them flying right in front of your eyes. I've screamed at you without any voice left to spare, all in hope you'd actually see my transparency. But of course, you were blind as much as I am hopeless. To stay would be a bargain between me and the rain that follows. I know I am never enough to keep people from bowing their heads under an umbrella. Their shoes always gather puddles before they have a chance to see the sun leaking through the storm. You did the same, didn't you? I've thought to myself that maybe you just didn't love me the same as I love you. But in all realness, I don't think you could. If that's the truth, were you lying at dawn too? Such a shame for you to say what you never truly felt. You waited for my surrender, didn't you? You watched me plead for answers knowing you would never reveal them. Secrecy is your talent, isn't it? Consistency was everywhere but you. Your told efforts stood solid as water. And even then, I'd excuse absence to reason that followed no cause. Forever, if you had let me. We're both liars now, aren't we? Well, the rain has departed, and yet I still find myself crawling in the dark searching for you. But I know it's no use. I suppose it was a mistake to light a spark with broken matches. You are, after all, a master of untimely endings. Thank you.
My name is Ali, and this is my piece, How to Take Your Time. First, spend your years like there are infinite of them. Spend all your time sleeping, forgetting, and living in distraction. Keep friends who do not serve you, and leave those who do behind. Wait. Decide that forever will never be enough. Realize that the way you've been living is not enough. Realize that you are sick of living a feverish dream. Realize that years have gone by, and you haven't remembered most of them. Reach sophomore year without having done anything you feel proud of. Spiral. People say it gets worse before it gets better. It's true. Try yoga. In your room, listen to meditation music that's made to calm you, but really just makes you laugh. Eventually, switch to rain sounds. Rain sounds make you feel soft and squishy, like Jell-O. Let yourself sink into the thought of nothing. But nothing feels like everything. You can feel the blood pumping through your body, your heartbeat sounding in your ears, hands and feet. You feel every single strand of hair in your feels comfortable, but it does feel good. Learn to feel everything, certain things, and nothing about your body. You learn hunger, thirst, and to yearn. You learn mindfulness. Next, learn to take your time. One day, a classmate worries about their time moving too fast. Your teacher tells them that time moves slower when you learn to live in it. You take this very seriously. Start to turn your phone off little by little when you feel distracted. Go on walks alone without music. Write poetry in your head that is meant to be forgotten. Everywhere you go, you are late. You always were, but you are more so now. You learn to make the time yours. Convince yourself that you are not late, but just on your own time. It's not healthy. You hope your parents don't see your attendance, and that if they do, they say nothing. Try to bring yourself back to reality. Fail. Remember that you waste the time of those around you with lateness. Feel guilt. Don't change. Apologize to your teachers for not getting things in on time, but do it in your head. Write letters to them. Don't send them. Feel embarrassed. Don't change. Feel less guilty when your late assignments are graded 120% because your multiple weeks worth of effort paid off. Feel proud of spending your time on things that matter to you. Finally, worry that your time is finite. You are only 17, but you already feel like you are zipping through this life. Worry so much about time that you spend most of your time worrying about time. Stay up later than usual, trying not to let the days pass. Try to pack everything into one day, like an overstuffed suitcase. Burn out. Lose track of time once again. Come to. See that it is now mid-May, and in a few weeks you won't be a junior anymore. Realize it is time to finish this prose. Decide that you never came to a conclusion, except for that time is subjective. It will move as fast or as slow as it wants to, regardless if you're okay with it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Riley, and I'm going to be reading 2 pieces tonight, and I wanted to give a content warning for themes of death in both of my pieces, so if that is something you do not want to hear, you can leave now. Alright. This is Wooden Plank. I think the road goes too fast, or maybe too slow. All I know is I can't be here anymore. Well, I can, it's just suffocating. It hurts. It's like being in a pitch black void, floating around, nothing to grab. Occasionally a wooden plank will come around that I can't grab. It's there until my grip loosens and it leaves, or I make it snap. It breaks in half. It snaps in half to be glued back together when it feels like it can last. Not forever, but for a little venture in my headspace. In the pitch black void, my dead headspace. That makes me always feel alone. A place where my breath is quick. When I think for a second, I ache. I always feel this cutting pain. It's not real, it's fake. Fake pain in my brain, stuck in this empty, grieving headspace. No one ever chooses to stay. That, or I leave, I tend to run away. Not looking back or saying a thing. I go do these things that make it better for that day, knowing I ran away. Spent time anxious and tired, waiting to sleep, waking up 5 times better than last evening. I smile at him because soon it would be over, soon running away again. Lost, breath quick, in pain, abandoning everything. Happy little sunshine fun, always ruined and disintegrated. Moving on from these wooden planks that have currently stayed, a little pile that built up that would make a nice fire in the void, distract me for a little longer until ash that would just make me suffocate more. No, I'll leave them behind cracked like I am, cracked mirror. Taped together with a smile and some ink, the wooden planks have glue in the seams. They've created a path, maybe moving out of the void. As I step on each one, they try to stay attached to my feet. I leave behind a black ink, in between the cracks from when they originally snapped, no longer held together by glue, but ink. Held together from my headspace that's disintegrating, starting to move on. I start to grab a plank or two as I move on the path to suffocate less. Build up a pile, when I want to think about turning to ash, it pulls me out of the void. I name the wooden planks as if they were the ones I once had. I love the wooden planks, especially the ones I grabbed that try to stay attached. I smile at them. Not because of the end, the running away, but the start of a new beginning, a continuation of the past. Her cracks are filled with black ink, so are his. Their colorful ink is stained onto me, from the wooden planks sticking together. together snapped and cracked to make a wooden path heading out of the void of ink. That will sometimes crack, sometimes breath will be quick, sometimes that mental pain will feel like a cut, making you no longer want to exist. Then your wooden plank can help for that little bit, keep you sturdy in the mess, floating in the void on a raft, making you happy, the void less empty, the void being a distraction, the void being a distant thing from the light and color twinkling in. My breath less quick, making the disintegration and ash just another mind trick on the wooden raft, staying colorfully laying on top. Holding the cracked wooden planks, no longer just sinking or suffocating, being there in the sunshine, trying not to run away. Colorfully sustained as waves of colors and gray still affect everything. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emma Harrington, and the piece I'm reading today is called Identity. To let you go is to leave, yet the clouds beg for another chance, telling me that they will not rain. I was all in and committed. I believed you would change, yet you didn't. And with a heave, I knew that you couldn't hurt me like before. You gave me nothing but the stars, a cold space where nothing is misplaced. Your heart is holding me back, yet I'm stuck in the same old cycle. You hold me in a tight hold. Fireflies in a jar, I shake them to lay low. I'll never know how sweet you taste. My tongue is coated with citric acid. I needed to wait to realize you never had a kind core. I wouldn't mind if you erased me. When I wake up, I know what you pretend to be. I got sick of the chase. I'm so sour with you. As the rain drips, you slip away. You take our stars with your words. Hidden in the city lights, sour candy in my mouth. I spit you right out into the ground. Locked in an array, tears are sweeter than you. Burning up, light me like gasoline. You waste away, washing my flames with you. Where are you now? Will you leave with one last vow? You left a coating of fluoxetine. Now I'm unable to sleep. I craved your love, but what I was longing for was to finally love myself. I filled that empty space. My love for you was above my own stay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Addie, and I'll be reading an excerpt from a prose piece. Just as a slight warning, there is a little bit of cursing. This is my piece titled, How to Leave. First, you need to find your family. People you would drop everything for, and who would do the same for you. This isn't fair, for various reasons, but it's hyperbole that you can get behind. It's a cliche that you're glad holds actual meaning. A community will emerge in the form of theater, the only gathered art form in your crowded public school down south that fits in your ever-growing schedule. You'll meet people you never would have interacted with otherwise, and you'll be the better for it. There's an unspoken rule in theater: never mention Macbeth. It's bad luck, but you do anyway, muttering it under your breath as a joke because live life to the fullest and whatnot. Then spend every day after sophomore year wondering if that's why everything has gone to shit. Luck. Next, you want to form trust. Meet two of your best friends at an Easter egg hunt a few days before the holiday. Get dressed in a cute yellow jumper with flowers decorating it, a matching headband stark against your blonde hair. Follow the sidewalk to the great lawn and the lake, really just a fancy drainage pond, right across the street as your mother strolls beside you. When you get there, feel the dripping anxiety at the crowded bodies packing the grass. Many of them are children, younger than you by at least 5 years. You're too self-conscious to collect any eggs, afraid someone will berate you for being too old. But with encouragement from family, you gather a few. Then nearly drop your basket in horror as your mother takes you by the arm and parades you toward the edge of a lake, where the set of twins are kicking at the grass. You realize what she's doing, and you want to drown yourself in the sludge-lathered water. You're the twins, right? Your mother starts. You live just down the block? You whisper for your mom to stop, to turn around, but she won't. The two look up at you with confusion. Reluctantly, they introduce themselves. In a second, your mom walks away to socialize herself. You are left standing next to those new people as they attempt a conversation. You won't remember what they said, or what you said. You do remember being chased by a goose nearly a full 2 blocks, sharing bits of shitty candy from a plastic egg, and asking to hang out the next day. Now 6 years have gone by, and you call at least once a week. Thirdly, date your best friend. Start exploring your sexuality, realizing a love that extends to several genders. Question your own gender. Don't worry, it doesn't get better, but you'll settle on something. She, her, they, them, any seems fine. But bristle a little when your friends use he for the first time. Adjust to it. It suits you well enough. 6th grade is approaching, and it seems like the end of the world. Meet said best friend in science class. She's friendly, and her laugh is loud and appealing. You have theater together. Watch as middle school slips away, and suddenly you are experiencing freshman year at home behind a computer screen. Her parents don't let her leave the house. That is, until your 15th birthday party. Invite your closest friends over for a sleepover, the first you've had in months. Before she leaves, she gives you a wonderful handmade card, and it leaves a pit in your stomach that you can't quite work out. That night, stare at the ceiling in a restless fit of thought. Realize a piece of yourself is tethered to her. Dramatic, but that's how you feel anyway. Text her at 9 p.m. asking her out. Not classy to do it over text, but your room was shuttered off from the rest of society, and it seemed like the best option. The next morning, she reveals she's had a massive crush on you since middle school, and you feel a light burst in your heart as the universe seems right again. Date in quarantine. 6 months of communication via screen, sweetened by rose-colored glasses. 6 months of isolation. You want to ask her on a real date, a physical, in-person date. But her mom finds out she's gay, and suddenly her phone is taken. She's okay, she tells you this, but a guilt overwhelms you at the evidence-fueling text messages. Less than 2 weeks later, she tells you that you're better as friends. Move on. Life continues as it always does. Your so-called theater friends start inviting you to sleepovers a lot, and a sense of closeness starts. Your group goes from 5 to 7 as you open up to new people, and at last your sweet 16 is around the corner, and you decide to have 2 separate parties. One on the day of, a Wednesday, for family members, and another that weekend for friends. You ask the twins to come over during the family party, as they live only a few blocks away. Dance your heart out to early 2000 songs and eat your weight in chocolate raspberry souffle that your 20-year-old cousin made especially for you. Your whole family is there. It's a day to celebrate. And soon December 8th turns to December 25th, and into January you go. You stay home for a few days. COVID finally catches up to you after a year of masking and vaccinations. When you get back, you find out your favorite teacher, your amazing theater teacher, is leaving. Then move across the country, back to Minnesota. You haven't lived there since you were 4. The blow is soft at first. You've sung this song twice already. You were only 9 the first time. But now you've built something precious. You won't tell anyone until the month before, too afraid to see how they'll react. This gives you the illusion of healing. Then the cardboard boxes flood the house, and you are told to strip the posters from your walls. As you do this, the twins will FaceTime you. They'll ask you what you're doing, and you'll tell them you're just repainting. The first person you break the news to is your theater teacher before she leaves. That day had been rough. When you finally enter the classroom, lay your head on the desk and let the tears fall, and silently scream into the same hoodie you've been wearing for a week straight. Class continues. Normal assignments you've already finished on the task board. And as you lay there, your theater teacher taps you on the shoulder and asks if you're all right. You tell her you'll talk to her after class. At last, the bell rings, and you wait, wobbling foot to foot as classmates funnel out. You told her about your situation. That's why you've been estranged. When she finally sits down, you find yourself explaining it again in stuttering words, and at last she cuts in. Is this the part where you tell me you're moving? You can't speak, you just nod, and then you're lurching forward as she hugs you, and you are both sobbing in the darkness of a classroom. Say goodbye. It sounds easier than it is, or maybe it doesn't. It wasn't. It isn't. There was no hello after a goodbye 3,000 miles away, but a phone call helps ease the pain. You learn to keep it in, contain it. Try out for an art school. It sounds cooler than it is. Meet a new group of people, ones that you eat lunch with every day in the humming, humid air of fall. But it doesn't seem to work out. Decide it's best to leave. Justify it by saying they left you first, but you know that's only half the story. Move to another group, and another. Realize you hate certain people, then you hate even more. Hate isn't a strong word to you. The meaning is diluted. You've reached the point where you hope you'll find your new friends in college. You'll find yourself in college. A personality that belongs to you, 6 years and you're out on your own. The real world. A job, rent, mortgage, taxes, hopefully romance. But it doesn't matter, because you tell yourself you're not alone, and for a few hours every night, you can believe it. Every night from 6 to 8, when you're eating dinner with your family or FaceTiming someone from your past, you can almost squint in the mirror and recognize the person you were before. You tell yourself you like being alone, that it doesn't bother you. There's a solace to it, the lying. But in those moments when you feel the separation, you bury yourself in social media and fiction as the sun sets and hours slip through the cracks of your screen. Escapism is so much more appealing than realizing that you are just staring at your bedroom walls each and every day to forget. You couldn't put your favorite posters up because the plaster couldn't hold putty, tape, or museum wax, so who you were is wrapped in a little cardboard box rotting somewhere in a South Carolina attic, and you realize with a bite of terror that it might stay there. It might have to. You cannot continue to live in the past, but the idea of letting go has become too much, and now all you want to do is stay home from school and lay in bed disassociating as you forget. But in the end, you can't, because the only direction you can go is forward, and that will have to be enough. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alana Brandt, and I will be reading my first piece of two, called Salt. You started a fire in me, of rage. It started in my chest, my thighs, my breasts. I tried to tame flame with tears, what a lame way to extinguish a fire. Rocks feel volcanic, veins like lightning. Maybe I was born to be this way, born to die. Tears fall and land in my mouth. I always wondered what demise did taste like. Do you lay awake at night over me? I can only imagine you do. Gun in hand, your bullets taste similar to my cries. Salt. Salt you sprinkle in my eyes so the sting can blind me to what your intentions are. Salt you lay out on a table so you can sense just some relief. Salt always makes good poetry. Malevolent male violence leads to discomfort and silence. I'll talk just to see if I still can. I'll take your hand, your cold clammy palms. Thanks for the art, dear friend.
Hey, my name is Jossie, and this is just a little piece of prose I wrote for you guys. My darling stranger, I have a secret I must take to the grave, and strangers are treasure troves to confide in, even if they know you. The most that will be heard are scratches of pens. Besides, we are good strangers, dear sibling. If I tell you, will you take it to the grave you'd share with my other siblings? Will you make it a rumor, a cancer to spread, opening your pages for anyone to read? People have been killed for spreading rumors and ended for not telling. Are secrets really worth dying over, my dearest? Will I confide in you about our parents, what our mother doesn't know and Dad does? You, stranger, are my sibling, right? For siblings come from the same mother. You and the others are the only gifts our mother has given me. Dad complains about the cost of other journals, and that I'll turn you into another delusion. Journals keep her quiet, auntie reasons, saying that mother gives me you and it keeps us both quiet until next year. One small gift a year makes her feel like she's taking care of me, of us. But your life is as replaceable as the other leather-bound journals. Stranger danger. Well, yes, this stranger is in danger. In all seriousness, are secrets worth dying for? When we say take a secret to the grave, what do we really know? Every time we hear a lie, there's an urge to say, I know something you don't know. Not telling me is considered rude, or telling me be a snitch. Snitches get stitches, but you already have so many in your spine. A few more wouldn't hurt. Maybe I shouldn't have written to you, then you wouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't have written to you, then you wouldn't know that our mother. Wait. I can't write it. Our mother will break if she reads it. Yes, that is what would happen if our mother found out. Dear stranger, I am so sorry. Darling, I cannot tell you. Mother can't know. She can't know the state she's in. Our mother can't know why our dad is hiding from her at night. No, dearest stranger. I've said too much. I will go crush up our mother's meds into her dinner, and that way she won't find out she takes them. And our dad can stop hiding in the walls and in his game room. I will burn you so none will read from you, unless you've got a secret about our mother. Do you know the state she's in? Our lovely mom? Still, it would be best to dispose of you, my darling stranger. As our mother reads you every year, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have told you about her meds. I shouldn't have told you where Dad hides. I shouldn't be writing to you. My new sibling is here, so I will burn you tonight. But know this secret. I love you, my leather brown sibling. I really do. But you're just a germ. Your darling, dearest sibling. P.S. Happy first birthday! I'll say hello to the new sibling for you. I'm so sorry the two of you never got to meet.
Hi, I'm Jay, and this is my piece, Light Reflected Through the Crystalline Structure of Teardrops. Red. Red flashing lights. Red anger. Red empty cans of Coke next to me after all caffeine is a drug. Red blood. Blood on my teeth, haven't brushed them in a while. Red cherry licorice wrappers fall on the ground next to my futon. I haven't left but to pee and then fill my water bottle in the bathroom sink. Red blinking alarm telling me I can't stay like this. Orange. Orange shirts to fight bullying. Orange sky. Orange carrots instead of broccoli piled on bland white rice and unseasoned chicken all soggy and cardboardy. Orange flames inside my stomach make me warm. Orange bottles of meds sitting on a coffee table. Orange leaves outside. I could see them if I could just get up. Come on, get up, stand up, me. I can't. Yellow. Yellow God. Yellow spirit. Yellow bean. Several beans, all of them trying to help. Yellow pea in a cup to test for illnesses in a cold white lab. Only one lab test says anything. Low vitamin D, sourced from dairy. I can't eat dairy, it wrecks my stomach. I tell the doctor and she says, how about sunlight? I make up an excuse for not going outside, not explaining that I'm using the energy for anything for the next 2 weeks to just walk into the clinic and go to this appointment with my dad. She wouldn't understand. My dad doesn't understand. No one understands. Yellow sun would help, but I can't. Can't get out of bed. Can't go outside except during the darkness of night. Yellow lemons painfully sour. At least they make me feel something. Anything, at least. Green. Green top on the dairy-free ice cream container next to my bed filled with melted thin mint-flavored liquid. Green grass on a laptop screen. Maybe this game will bring me relief or just a break from this numbness that will go on for the length it takes the molehill to become the mountain. Green mask and scrubs on the lady in the ER who asked me those questions. No, I don't want to die, but I don't know if my brain wants to let me survive. Blue. I feel blue. Blue sky at night. Blue of the sky right before sunrise when I've been up all night, couldn't fall asleep. I'll stay up until I'm done at school. Oh, I fell asleep at my computer. Blue logo of Zoom. sitting here waiting for another class. Will this last? I want to be lying flat instead. Blue raindrops falling. I feel helpless, like the raindrop that landed on my tongue and had no choice but to roll down my gullet. I wonder if it thought me monstrous when it saw what was inside me. Blue-colored ice. I'm freezing cold, but the heater is an entire room away across an ocean of filth and I can't get up. I can't even really try anymore. Purple. Purple paint. Purple in my hair. Purple color tries to remind me of what was once there. I'm there. Purple wings on a dragonfly, even though it should have amber-colored wings. Purple bruising on my leg from where I punched it to feel something, anything at all. Purple bruise on my arm to match it where I dug my long nail that's jagged from breaking it off on accident because I haven't trimmed them. I can't remember. Purple grapes on a grapevine. I want to drink the wine. No, don't give it to that illness either. Purple sky right before sunrise and purple sky of sunset. Each day a new challenge comes and each day through my struggles is met. Purple clouds of a thunderstorm come and rain, pour down and the sunlight breaks through. It's a beautiful view and now I see it too. Black and white thinking splays into color and I paint the heavens with it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Erwan, and I will be reading a piece called I Will Always Be Adele. I never knew how bad this would hurt my soul. It eats away at me like ants eating feet. Sorry. I will always be Adele. I never knew how bad this would hurt my soul. It eats away at me like ants feasting on a log. You never see a log like that get eaten up completely. The ants are always there, lingering in the wood. I want to throw this piece of a dead tree into the fire, feel the burn on my skin, finally letting go, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I shiver at the thought of being a man, but I freeze when I think of me as a woman, paralyzing my body with fear, envy chipping at my bones. Why can't I be him? I get lost in the forest of my mind, wandering aimlessly, hoping for something to click. I think about the top surgery I could get, or the idea of testosterone filling my body, finally being my true self. But it will never happen. There's always a reason that it can't happen now, so why get lost if I'll just get found again? The ants are creating a colony, taking over my body. My brain getting poisoned, the queen saying, "You are a girl and you know it." They carved that idea into my forehead until I finally understand that I am still her. Every time I look at myself, I see the scar. I'm scared to go in front of anything that might reflect my body, choking on my own tongue because I still see her. They are keeping me captive. Showing me videos of people who transitioned, regretting what they did. This will be you. Don't you dare think about ruining your precious body. I have been in this cage for 17 years. When will they let me go? When will they realize that no matter how much you try and change someone, they will always be themselves in the end? I'm tied down, struggling to escape these shackles. I can feel each individual ant inside my head, each one of them being a fear about transitioning. It gets harder and harder every day to repair my eyes. I can't see clearly. All these lies being fed into my ears, each and every, like crawling into my brain. I am brainwashed. When will I finally admit that I am him? I've been infected. No matter how much I drown my body in cologne, no matter how many binders I put on my chest, no matter how masculine I dress, no matter how many schools I go to, no matter how many social media accounts I have made, no matter how many times I try to escape this town, no matter how much I cry over these wounds all over my body, all of these things have to cover her up. But I will always be Adele. Thank you.
Almost drown in Lake Superior when you are 5 years old. This will have implications late in life, but you'll quickly forget about that. Get saved by your grandfather's golden retriever. Enjoy the beach anyways. Realize that your friends don't like spending time with you. Some of them argue with you when you do something. Some of them talk to you on the weekends and in the science classroom when you eat lunch, but don't talk to you when other people are around. None of them protect you from the bullies in your classroom. Talk to the school counselor about being bullied. She asks you if they have any power over you. You're taller than them. They're only friends with each other. Some of them are even younger than you. You do not understand what social power is. Leave the counselor's office with a pamphlet telling you the difference between bullying and conflict. Bullying is when one side has more power than the other. The stronger side is bad. Conflict is when the two sides have equal power. Both sides of conflict are bad. Realize that one of the girls in your class is also constantly in conflict with some of the same people you are. Sit next to her at lunch because you have that in common. Label the burning feeling in your left shoulder as love. Her friends are funny, and they think you're funny. They like the same books as you. Start spending less time with your friends. Spend more time with her friends. Ask her out at the start of middle school. You'll decide that you don't want to halfway through. Your friends will mark you to do it. She says yes, and then you don't talk about it anymore. Start referring to your collective friend group as the council. It's a bureaucratic organization, and you're the message boy. You're paid 17 pixie sticks a week. Become close with the enforcer, who is the enforcer because they wear pink combat boots to school every day. They jokingly kick you in the ankles if you ignore your message boy duties. Your message duties are mostly just negotiating with the other friend groups. The members of your old friend groups who also stopped being cool in middle school have a business where they buy energy drinks for $1 at the gas station and then sell them for $2. Most of the profit goes to buying more energy drinks. They pay your group protection money because the CEO of their company has a crush on your enforcer. This is where the money that the treasury uses to buy pixie sticks comes from. Your job is collecting the protection money, and you and the enforcer go to collect it together. Sometimes the CEO pretends that he is turning you into the school, and his friends will act like guards in a mafia movie. You cower behind a tree while the enforcer kicks them in the ankles. Turn 13 and remember that technically you have a girlfriend. Go with her to school dances and football games. The kids that you both have conflicts with think that it's very funny that the two of you are dating. Get little from the relationship itself, but enjoy the intention from others. She's the vice president of the council. Meet your parents' new friends. Realize that these are the first friends your parents have had that you can remember. Their names were Chris and Krista. They have a son your age who's fun to hang out with. He thinks your friend's politicking is lame, but he likes cool things like video games. You think it's funny that he's not also named Chris. Enter puberty. Hate every moment of it. Stop finding anything fun for a little bit. Fall behind in school. Your friends are all depressed too. The enforcer gets a buzz cut. Your girlfriend threatens to run away from home. Talk with your girlfriend about marriage. Make a Google slide planning your wedding. Make a mock-up image with her edited to be in a dress and you in a suit. She jokes that she should be wearing the suit. Realize that it implies that you're in the dress. Refuse to change the picture. Have nightmares about wearing the suit. Delete the entire document in a fit of panic. Get in a fight with your girlfriend about this. Do some thinking about if you feel anything towards her. Realize that you only like her as a friend. Ignore the possibility that this is because you're both 14. Think that this means that you only like men. Struggle to come out to her. Tell your parents first. Tell your other friends. Tell your teachers. She will corner you and say she wants to break up with you. Start laughing when she asks why you look relieved. She's extremely supportive when you come out. Get funneled for being gay through the rest of middle school. Realize that the people asking you questions in the hallways are probably trying to start a conflict with you. Get good at giving them snappy, aloof answers. Realize you're a woman. Tell the former enforcer first. They come out to you as non-binary when you do. Your ex starts a fight with them for no reason. Refuse to take a side. Diffuse it. Become close friends with the enforcer. I'm sorry, I didn't grab the last page of my piece. It's not a last page of the. Behold, the power of technology. Go through high school. Realize that you have no academic skills whatsoever. Read a business card your mom received from a school devoted to the arts and research it obsessively. Avoid failing your classes because the entire world has been shut down. Start practicing your guitar obsessively. Return to school. Label the burning feeling in your left shoulder as panic. This is the first time you've been to school while publicly transgender. Things collapse with your former friend group several weeks before you start school again. Your ex starts a massive fight with you about nothing. The enforcer takes her side. Apply to school for the arts. Start writing poetry obsessively. Put all of your eggs into this basket. Spend all the time you would have spent with friends writing. Sit down at your desk. Pull out your laptop, which hasn't been cleaned for a while, and look down at the smudges on the screen. Label the burning feeling in your left shoulder as anticipation. You now have the next 2 years of your life figured out. Thank you.
Okay, I am still Alana, everyone. Trigger warning for this piece for suicidal themes. So I'll just give people who want to leave a minute, do a fun dance. Shoot. Such a powerful word that means so much. You can shoot a photograph, shoot down a man's advances when he creeps just a bit too close at a bar. Shoot your weak things cry. You can even shoot as you stand in front of a canvas to create your last grotesquely magnificent painting entitled The Mess. It was always inevitable. You're too self-absorbed to be a statistic. You had to be art. You were in life as you are in death, a spectacle to look at. You always knew you'd die by your own hand. It's more poetic. Allowing someone else to write the ending to your story doesn't seem fair after all. This control over your death is what they would never give you in life. It's a shame they controlled you so. They told you how to eat, dress, and act. But your performance has drawn lengthy, and curtain call is due. Farewell, dear artist. You've inspired me to paint.
Hi, I'm Rowan, and this is my piece, Poetry Club. This is the story of the piece I didn't read in front of you in Poetry Club. We were the only 2 members, but there were still so many things I could never tell you. I had run into problems with putting one foot in front of the other, and I ended up lost at the front door of my high school. I walked that morning like I was afraid, and I was. My heart was loud. I wanted my steps to be light and heavy, pervasive and considerate. I wanted a little bit of you in everything I did. With you stuck in me, I wriggled my way through the crack of a door and looked you dead in the eye. Or I would have, had you been looking. I took to memorizing the bridge of your nose. You in profile became the slogan for my want. You were my lightning rod. You were a lot of things then, like clover and purple mixed with soap. You're a lot of things now, too, but it's easier when the heat of your car isn't so close. I came back to my room that night to talk to windows and pictures of us. They were one and the same if I stared at them for too long, and I always did. I was under the delusion that the better was in the before, that my breath held a criminal tinge. I had so many questions, but if time teaches you anything, it is that pictures and double-sided Scotch tape do not answer back. It was a pity to think that you had loved me before. It was a shame to be loved then. I couldn't tell you why, not really, but I do know that the stars became strangers when I looked at people who weren't me. You weren't me, not really, and I couldn't tell you why. On a Friday night, you called, and I felt the whole world die right along with me. I spun the cord around my finger like a teenage girl while I talked about how lovely it was to be 16. Speech became a navigator, a way to understand a person in ways they weren't. It was communication by a compass, misdirection through an entirely separate magnetic field. The way I saw it, the world was flat, and nobody could prove me wrong. I had felt the jagged edges of the earth embedded in your hot pink acrylic nails, and from that moment on, I was a believer. Of course, there was the way that you worshipped. You would come home with an ashen cross on your forehead, runny with sweat. I had asked you if I could be an intruder in a room that's half my own. You couldn't look me in the eye. You had a funny way of saying next to nothing, and I had a knack for knowing you had so much more to say. It was my own fault for not listening, and truly, fully, I did not listen. My tongue didn't sit right without the thought of you guiding it, and so I had an overwhelming urge to barricade myself in your skin, to squeeze between the flutters of your eyelashes. Your smile became my holy ground, but you were not a failsafe, and neither was I. So, I made 2 copies of a letter and told your God that I loved him for giving you something invisible to pray for, and then I hoped he wouldn't hate me for what I did next. There was me between the rock and the hard place. There was me beating down the ink, and there was me forcing up the words. There was me crying over not wanting to leave, and there was me crying over needing to go. There was me going. There was me cradled before you. There was me old after you. There was no you at all. There was an I and a me and a prayer that I kept in the pocket of my backpack for months on end. It would let me be rid of you, and it did. The edges were worn, and a poem was on it. I don't know what your God would think, but if there's any goodness in this world, it ended up stuck in your heart somewhere. There was the space between you and me, and the secrets kept in the meantime. Palms covered in blood-red religion and psalms littering my forehead. There was distance in the fuel tank I watched you fill up, in the way that you ran, and in the way that your hair moved. Your pillowcase was cool on either side, and that made it easier, I think, to know that there was always going to be someone, somewhere, who loved you, even if it wasn't me. To know that at the end of all the roads, there would always be this, that there would always be a home we were running to in some stanza somewhere, that there would always be Poetry Club. Thank you.
I'm Mia, and this is my last piece, Finale. The first peeper sang its song tonight, and once more, I finally feel alive. I'm reminded of collecting salamanders from the sandbox, cool skin against hot palms, and now the calluses at the base of each finger are back, worn from years of rain slipping through. My meds ran out before my refill appointment. I guess I won't sleep tonight, or any other. And sickness is a way of your body rejecting something, but what if the infection is rejecting my body instead? Maybe I don't belong there anymore. injected into the tall grass with a book in hand instead. It's about two people living on an island, saying things to each other that I might never get the chance to say, and feeling things that I may never get to feel. I had so many other things that I wanted to say here now. I think of lines on the rim throughout the day. But lately I've been forgetting them all, or rather forgetting to write them down, you see. I have been yearning for the thing I fear most, change. Cutting my bangs, getting new glasses for the first time since 7th grade, tearing down my boundaries and restitching them with recycled thread. Facing fairy tale monsters I buried in my closet many years ago, anything but the fear of leaving this behind. The feeling of acceptance, eating lunch with beloved friends in the sun, having my hair braided while a cat purrs on my lap, records spinning in the background. Of rejection, yearning to belong to someone, something, anything, even the bitter cold of the winter months. The feeling of remembering things that hurt and have shaped me into who I am, the way I stiffen at things that others see as normal, forgettable even. And forgetting things always meant to be forgotten, like the cool skin of salamanders and the unwinding wings of monarchs. Forgetting that once my only concern was whether the crabapple tree would bloom today or tomorrow, much less about what leaving home would be like. It is only now that I feel such a rush to amend this all, for in my years here, I've learned to say what I wish without actually saying it, weaving some beautiful picture that hides some ugly truth beneath. And in my wildest dreams, I hope to undo that in some way, to unleash it all in one last act. Cutting my hair, confessing a festering secret. But rather, the last thing I will say to you is this. Don't be afraid to change, but never forget where you came from. And try not to forget how the first peep of spring sounds up while you drift off to sleep. Thank you.
But I've never experienced it. You've read books over love, soul connections, twin flames, but no souls attached to yours like they say. Emotions have been affected by the past, but memories last forever. Your brain has been altered into this trap of true love. I'm sorry, I love you, I'll never do that again, yet your lips quiver at the sight of him. The anger shines through him and reflects off her skin. His beauty is masked by the pain within. I didn't mean to do it, I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. Tears drop like bodies once again.
Hello, I'm going to be reading my second piece now called What I Die For. I don't think I would die for someone, which is the right thing in my mind. Thinking my own life is more precious than someone I love, it's selfish. I don't think I would die for someone. Hearing all these songs saying, I would die for you, or you die for what you love, then I always think, what's the point? If you die for someone, you truly don't value yourself. You don't get to see the loved one again, you don't get to do the thing you love again, if you die for it. It's not like I can go into the shoes and know what they want, see if they will do more for the world than me. When I think of the ones I love that have died, the ones I let close, the ones that were there for me for a long time, I think, would I have died for my mom if I could have saved her? So she would have been able to have 40 more years with my dad? I wouldn't. It's selfish. Because I wouldn't die for anyone, not because it's not what she would have liked or whoever I think has more value than me would have liked. It's a selfish thing, though. The ones I have lost, I still grieve and I live on doing things, trying to be happy. I kind of have a loop in my head. The idea of doing this extravagant thing that ends it all for one person or one thing we believe in amazes me. Having that much courage to do it and then the faith in the future you won't see somehow is something I wish I could have. I think in the past I said I would die for someone. Probably my mom, because I thought the world revolved around her. Thinking it was her story and that I was just a rook piece that I occasionally slid in. And then she died and it felt like I shouldn't be alive for a couple of days. That I should have done more, though I couldn't. That those weeks of school I missed were to do that more. to be there. Not die for her, but sacrificing school time to be able to make sure it was easier for her if she did get better. The house would be clean, the meals would be made, my dad could be with her at the hospital instead of with the dogs because they needed to be taken care of too. So I wouldn't die for anyone because the only things I can give them is my time and money. One of those things I don't have, so I give my time. Trying to give good memories and help in the ways I can. I wouldn't die for someone or a concept or an item. When I thought I would, I think I had a different mindset. A feeling of courage or a lack of awareness of fear. Maybe I didn't realize what it meant. Unable to come back and say something to the ones I love makes me feel hopeless. Especially when I know what it's like to have limited words left when it comes to someone who was dying that I loved. Sacrificing my life for their joys, for them to have to grieve me, I don't think that's something I can have them endure. Seeing people I love fight so hard to live, then die trying or have 30 more years of their life frustrated. I'd like to be here a long time, so I wouldn't die for someone. But I do everything I can to make sure they stay alive. Do my best to make sure they smile and thrive, just like how that's what I want to do with my life. Something I promise I do, even if it's currently a struggle. It's what I'd like to do, especially when people tell me I could die at any time. I want to smile at life, smile at things that everyone's just trying to survive with. Have a fulfilling life that wasn't a choice, but I fought for every second of it. And I fought for every second for the ones I love could. Only sacrificing my time for the one I love, never my life.
Okay, yeah, still short. Okay. Hi, my name is Lee Moore, and this is my piece called How to Be a Decent Person. Start off by thinking about how bad of a person you are. Decide that you are not the worst. Set standards for badness or goodness. Decide that you are the best at deciding who is good or bad or better or worse. Immediately mess up, like stupendously, to the point where you are bad, not just worse, but bad on your own scale of badness. Go back to the idea that you are awful. Remember when you were 4 years old at IKEA. Remember how you begged to be the one to order ice cream. Remember how, when you handed the cashier the money, you said, $4 please, instead of 4 ice cream cones please. Cringe. Humility is easy to come by for anxious children. You are great at being humble. May be the best. Get very close to adding this to your good traits. Become lactose intolerant. Note that there could be a metaphor in that somewhere. Mess up again, as bad as before, if not worse. Begin to think that you are entering the list of top 10 bad people. This is not good. Go to a therapist after about 2 years of not having one. The last one was fine, but it felt more like a gossip session than a place to receive help. This is your own doing. You like to gossip and not do work. Want this time to be better. Productive. You hope that they initiate it. You know that there are things wrong, but for someone else to say it can be reassuring. Like, it's not all in your head. You also hate admitting that you are a little screwed up. The therapist will be great. They listen and ask how you would advise yourself. This will be new and strange. Feel like an adult talking to a child, but the child is also you, and they are crying and punching and screaming and yelling. It's not fair. I don't wanna. Just make it stop. Tell yourself that these are very valid feelings. Reassure them that you feel the same way. The right things are rarely the easiest you preach. Wish that you could live by your own stolen words. Ask why it can't just be right the first time. Procrastinate. Procrastinate so much that you forget what you were procrastinating. Wonder if it even matters to reach out since it's so far gone. It is. Ignore that. You never forgot what you were procrastinating. Ignore that too. Wonder how much taller you have to grow until you become the bigger person. Decide that it is too much. Decide that you are practically done growing anyway. You will hear of people hitting a growth spurt in their 20s. This is unlikely for you, but the idea gives you hope. Not much though. Know that it would not be enough. Consider going on testosterone. Question gender. Ignore the prospect that you would not be non-binary if you were born male. Deny, deny, deny. Cry a lot in school. Wonder if you are the problem. Assure yourself that bad people do not want to be better. Decide that this makes you good. Good people actually get better. Feel bad. Live vicariously through fiction. Play too many action RPGs and use them to dress up the good you. Wish that you didn't have the girlish figure that you do. Wish that you looked like the masculine character build that you made. Think about top surgery. Nothing sharp should ever be near your nipples. Dread binding in the summers. Ask your girlfriend to paint your nails. Get accepted to the one college that you applied to. Late. It is a women's college. This might give you dysphoria. Look for the nuns. Worry about accessible architecture. TSA needs better training. Look for ramps and walkable sidewalks. Your 2B college is ancient. Brick roads, stone paths, and several buildings will have unnecessary two-step stairs at the entrance with narrow hallways. You absolutely cannot have a roommate. Throw up in dorms twice. Once each year that you are there. It is humiliating. Think that you are dying. You are. Go home and be a slug in your blankets. You would be a banana slug. Common, slimy, banana-like. Note that there might be a metaphor in that somewhere. Remember that banana can be used as a derogatory term against East Asian people who, quote unquote, look yellow but are actually white on the inside. Feel horribly seen and even more ashamed. Eat bananas in the wee hours of the night. Be so hungry that you ignore the texture and the taste to sustain yourself. Occasionally buy apples that go uneaten. We're a family of people who buy apples but never eat them. Note that there could be a metaphor in that somewhere. Thank you.
My love, my landlocked whirlpool. Logic dictates that you did not hang the stars, but when you smile, they shine so bright that I could lose the moon entirely in the glare. You have unknowingly made me into a garden. Roots have worked their way into my body, a well-groomed mycelium network interweaving with my limbic systems. My love, you have made a martyr of me. Not wrought so much as structure pulled tight as fiber. First the fall, but next the landing. Like an embrace, yet I travel downwards. Show me one grain of sand that has never been in love. Not me, says lightning, wrapped as it is in metal taste. I dance through salt water, write fulgurite poems, yet pulse waves grind glass back down crimson. Looking at any system at a large enough scale over a long enough period of time, and patterns start to appear. Shapes forming in the static as if mapped out on some molecular structure. And in this instant, I have no hope but to take it as scientific fact within, no matter the original conditions, with enough time and enough energy, in any system, somewhere there will be two girls and one will fall in love. The wind that fills our lungs will one day blow our ashes away from this place. Catch lightning in a bottle and burn your hands, girl who plays with fire. There will be a feeling in your chest like organ failure, a great flame. Dream about tearing your heart from your chest, spit flame. Dream about burning yourself down. What good is range, my girl, roiling and directionless? The world will bring you down, but you are no innocent. You are a weapon. Sharp teeth and sharper tongue, turn them against themselves. Turn them to shreds. Every time I go home, I fall into the same pattern that I always do. I go to the cafe to sit at the same couch with the same drink, and I take the same route to get there. It's the same route that my bus took to middle school, and it's the same drink I took to school every day in 8th grade, and it's a couch the same size as the one I do homework on in middle school. How much of that is genuine reflection of the past, though? And how much is me seeking out the points that prove my cynical self-analysis correct? The cafe wasn't even built when I was in middle school. I take the same route because it's the easiest way to get between towns. I sit in the same couch because it's a good size of couch. I drink the same thing every time because I like it. But this too is cherry-picking specific arguments. Recently, I've started thinking that there is no analysis that holds up to rigorous enough critique. Everything breaks down infinitely, like the coastline paradox. You can just look closer and closer and closer. I've started thinking about just how much of my tendency to overthink is a product of my inability to come up with any answers of my own, and how much is talking to hear my own voice speak even spirals of words that never fit together quite right. I can see the patterns of other people here, like Lamprus noctiluna, the common glowworm, lines and shining light like stars echo over earth and dark. If I was more inclined to sleep, I might still dream. Yes, even here, beneath the starry skies, the stars are caught and hide so far beneath the earth. But deeper yet I drift, sleepless as in death I fall to dream, still deep as if I may find rest, yet deeper down I fall dispatched to earth. I hear the echoed pulse of stone, on walls not stone, to hold my dreams too deep and still alone that I may sleep and rest my weary head. I dream that the world has ended and I have survived, tending to a rooftop garden island. I spend a lot of time sitting on the edge of the roof, dipping my feet in the sea and watching the tide come in. At midday, the waves have receded enough that I can climb down the slit glass sides of the skyscraper drying in the sun. I check the nets I set up to catch fish, and I walk the empty streets. I don't scavenge much, I mostly just explore. The seasons are mostly gone, but winter is when the seagulls come. Great flocks of birds filling the sky like snow. They perch on the creaking hulls of ships like beached whales. One day I will slip up and the tide will come in when I'm on the city streets, and I'll be washed away like a piece of driftwood, like everyone else, and the sun will no longer shine on the loneliest girl in the world. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Amelia, and I'm going to be reading a children's story called Benny's Adventure. In the midst of a vast forest stood a charming glade shaded by tall trees and carpeted by lush grass. In this picturesque setting lived a small bunny named Benny. Benny was a lively fellow with mischievous glint in his eye and an affinity for adventure, though it was rare to see him ever leave the glade that had been home to him since he was born. One charming morning, as the sun was starting to peek through the tree and the dew was just still fresh on the grass, Benny woke up in his cozy burrow. Stretching his little legs, he looked around and breathed in the sweet, fresh air. His heart pitter-pattered with excitement, as it always did when the forest beckoned. He hopped out of his burrow and was immediately greeted by a warm ray of sunshine. The chirping of birds filled the air, and Benny was energized by the promise of a new day. As he hopped along, he suddenly caught a sight of a beautiful butterfly fluttering in the distance. Its wings were a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors, and Benny was instantly captivated. Without a second thought, he began to follow the butterfly, curious to see where it would lead him. He hopped and skipped, his heart racing with excitement. The butterfly led him deeper and deeper into the forest, and Benny soon found himself in a clearing that he had never seen before. The clearing was alive with activity. There were other animals, all gathered around and chattering with each other. Benny spotted a playful squirrel, a wise old owl, a chatty blue jay, and a gentle deer. They were all busy with various activities, from gathering nuts to playing hopscotch. Benny hid behind a tall oak tree, content to watch from afar when he accidentally stepped on a twig, sending a loud crack through the clearing. All the animals stopped what they were doing to look at Benny. He stepped out of the shadow, looking down at his feet like a scolded child. Fortunately, the animals welcomed him with open arms. They introduced themselves, and soon he had made 4 new friends. They spent the day playing games and sharing stories. He knew that this was just the beginning of a great adventure. As the sun began to set, the animals bid each other farewell and headed back to their homes. Benny was reluctant to leave. He didn't want to leave this beautiful scene, but he knew he had to. He hopped back to his burrow, contentment warming his body. He snuggled up in his soft, fluffy bunny bed, dreaming of all the fun adventures he would have with his new friends the next day. From that day on, Benny made it his point to meet up with his new friends in the clearing every day. They would play and have fun exploring the forest and discovering new things. Benny realized that the world was a much brighter and happier place with good friends by his side. In time, Benny grew up to be a wise and adventurous bunny, known throughout the forest for his courage and kindness. He had many more adventures, but he never forgot the day he met his friends in the clearing. Whenever he felt lonely or sad, he would think of them and remember the warmth and joy that his friendship had brought him. As the months passed and the green leaves turned the color of a sunset, the activity in the clearing became sparse. The blue jay flew north, the deer had fawns, the squirrel scavenged for more nuts, and the owl got grumpy and wouldn't leave his house except to grab the occasional snack. Although Benny was the only one who hadn't left the clearing, he knew that he would never forget them. He would often visit the clearing and sit by the trees, reminiscing about the wonderful memories they had shared. Though all his friends had left, he had an inkling that they would reunite once again. Thank you.
Let's hear one more round of applause for this. It's the springtime at Perpich. It's the end of the year. Seniors are preparing to go elsewhere, and I'll say this to all of you again, but I do hope you'll come back to our clearing here and spend some time. It's been a privilege and honor of a lifetime to get to work with you this year. I will treasure it forever. Thank you. Thanks for